the blessing to visit the shrine of Imam Hussein. But there is still a way to experience the sights and sound of the blessed land of Karbala in the comfort of your own homes.
We call upon you, dear viewers, to support us in our financial costs to help bring the Holy Land of Karbala beaming into your homes. You can support us with a monthly donation of just $50 or £30. We are your gateway to Karbala. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Imam Hussein TV 3.
Questions. If you have any questions you'd like to ask, please send them in via the WhatsApp number. And inshallah, if you're watching on Facebook Live or you're watching on YouTube, put your questions in the comment section and inshallah we'll be able to discuss and answer all your questions. There's a QR code there on the bottom somewhere about there-ish, and you'll be able to go straight to the WhatsApp inshallah. I'm your host Mohsin Shah, and joining me is Sheikh Ali Maash. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
How are you this evening, Sheikh?
Alhamdulillah.
Fantastic. Sheikhna, we've got loads of questions coming in, but before that, let's start with, do we have to recognize the infallible Imam in this day and age?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. Of course, to recognize the Imam in this day and age is wajib, because we have a hadith agreed by the Shia and the non-Shia that the one who dies without recognizing an Imam, he would die mita jahiliyyah, a death of a pagan, of somebody who died in the Jahiliyyah time worshipping idols and statues. So it is a must, of course, for the one to recognize the Imam of his time. And that's what we ask other sects of Islam, that who is the Imam of your time? Because the hadith is not about to recognize an Imam who was alive and then passed away 14th century ago. That's, of course, you have to believe in that Imam or the Prophet who was alive in that time. But now, who is your Imam? Man mata, the one who dies now. And he doesn't recognize the Imam of his time. He dies as a Jahiliyyah time death. So yes, it's wajib for the one to recognize the Imam. And alhamdulillah, we have the answer, and that is the Imam of our time, Al-Mahdi min Ali Muhammad, Ajjallahu farajahu al-Sharif. So alhamdulillah, we are sorted. But the other sects of Islam, other madahib, I think they are in a big trouble with this regard. They have to recognize an Imam in their time, and of course the Imam should be somebody who's close to the Prophet in terms of knowledge, in terms of asma, in terms of the power which is given to this Imam. Otherwise, you can't follow somebody who was previously in Jahiliyyah worshipping idols and statues, and he was a normal individual. Now he becomes so-called Khalifa, and then you can recognize him. So who is the Khalifa of today, this day and age? That's the question for the non-Shia.
Ahsant. Sheikh, like after marriage, if the wife came to know her husband is insane, was this marriage valid? If it is valid, can the wife demand a divorce? From the opinion of His Eminence, the Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sa'id Hakim, rahmatullah alayhi.
Indeed, the one who is basically in this situation, she can annul the contract, basically. the marriage, because the divorce can be also taken, but in such situations, because of the insanity of the husband, then she can ask for to annul the marriage.
Ahsan. Sheikh, there's some questions coming in from the viewers, and that is, Assalamu alaikum. I live in a Muslim country. In our supermarkets, they claim that all meat is halal. They even put a notice shown below that the meat sold is halal. Can we just buy and consume the meat in spite of the fact most of the meat is imported from non-Islamic countries like Australia, Brazil, South Africa, etc.? Jazakallah khair.
There are two things here basically. If this seller is Muslim, butcher, let's say, or owned by a Muslim supermarket owner, then of course we have here Suq al-Muslimin. We have also the Muslim hand. These are all hujj and proof for the one to buy his meat and chicken and so forth without asking and investigating at all. If he says halal, that's it, you just follow. The thing is, if they import this meat from other Western countries, non-Muslim countries, that's the issue. You have to make sure that this was slaughtered correctly in the source country. Let's say Australia, as you mentioned, or Brazil. Now we have even, many of the Muslim countries now, they're importing meat, halal meat from Brazil. You have to make sure that the meat has been slaughtered accordingly. Otherwise, it's an issue. That how can you eat a meat imported from Brazil that says halal? How much can you trust? That's the issue. Sometimes it's from the UK. Alhamdulillah, we have certified organizations in which they would basically confirm and affirm that this meat is halal and so forth. You can rely on them, but in Brazil it's a bit difficult, and the likewise of other countries. So you have to make sure, be certain that in these countries the meat has been slaughtered halal, because it's in a non-Muslim country. That's the issue. That's why they would put so much restrictions and constraints with this regard.
Sheikh, what is the position and status of Imam Ali alayhi salam besides the Ahlul Bayt and the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings be upon them?
In the hadith of Al-Kafi Sharif, in which he narrates by the Imam Abu Ja'far al-Baqir alayhi salam, he says, فضل أمير المؤمنين عليه السلام, the virtue, the fadl, the greatness of Imam Ali alayhi salam, the commander of the faithful, salamullah alayh, ما جاء به أخذ, whatever he brings from ahkam, from orders, the order towards, let's say, ordering for, commanding towards the war issue, war affairs, for example, and other issues when he was a hakim, when he was a leader, for example, even before that and after that, whatever he brings, we have to take it. أخذ به, must be taken. وما نهي عنه انتهي عنه, and whatever he refrains, we have to refrain. So, if he says something is haram, of course we have to follow his orders and rules, because he's Khalifat Rasulullah. He represents Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, representing him as his vicegerent, chosen by Rasulullah himself sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Ghadir Khum. The famous and mashhur and mutawatir hadith of Ghadir, in which they all narrate, "Man kuntu mawlah fa hadha Ali mawlah," or "Man kuntu mawlah fa Ali mawlah." So that's why we have to follow him. It's a wajib. It's part of the usul al-din. And then the hadith says, جرى له من الطاعة بعد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله ما لرسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله. So the ta'ah, the obedience of Imam Ali alayhi salam is like the Prophet's obedience. What is this evidence? Is in the Holy Quran, as we read in Surah An-Nisa, ayah 59, أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول وأولي الأمر منكم, and obey Allah and the Holy Prophets and those who are in authority. Somebody who is in authority in the position of Rasulullah cannot be except Ali alayhi salam, Because as I mentioned before, that ayat al-tathir, the verse of purification, that Allah wants to purify them with thorough purification, is only applied to Ali, Fatima, Hassan, and Hussein alayhi salam, because the non-Shia and the Shia all agree that the Sahaba, all the companions are not ma'asumeen. And the only ma'asum and infallible are Muhammad and Ali Muhammad salam. So, as a result, we have to follow only the infallibles when it comes to Allah's religion and interpreting this great religion of Allah Azza wa Jal. And of course, the hadith at the end says, وَالْفَضْلُ لِمُحَمَّدٍ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ. Of course, the greatness, the best is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, without any doubt that he is the best of the creation. And he, of course, the fadl goes back to him. He has the greatest virtue. But as I've said, Ahlul Bayt share with the Prophet the knowledge, the usma, and other attributes except the prophethood. La nabiyya ba'di. There's no prophet after me, as he said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So they are all the vicegerents of the Prophet of Islam, sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Sheikh, there's some questions coming in from YouTube. Assalamu alaikum. Is plucking eyebrows haram?
Is it for the
females, I guess?
Females.
Eyebrows.
If she did so, it's not haram in terms of to clean,
to groom
the face and so forth. But if it became as a zina, beautification, then she must cover it with her, let's say, scarf, basically, to cover it from the non-mahram. If it's to be as zina and beautification.
Fair enough. Assalamu alaikum from YouTube. Can you decide after the Dhuhr prayer that you want to fast in terms of repeat a day that you couldn't fast in Ramadan? So this is like a qadha for Ramadan. If you haven't drank or eaten something yet. So the time of Dhuhr has passed. I haven't eaten or drank anything. Can I decide, I'm going to fast until Maghrib time as a qadha for my fasting in Ramadan? Can you do this?
For the mustahab salah, you can do this even 5 minutes before the sunset. Mustahab, it's open to you. You haven't ate anything, you're busy on that day, and a few minutes left to the sunset, you can decide and do the intention for the mustahab fasting. But for the wajib, before adhan al-dhuhr,
okay.
You've got the time till adhan al-dhuhr to make that decision.
As long as you haven't eaten or drank anything.
Exactly.
Okay. From YouTube again, Assalamu alaikum Sheikhna. Which sources of hadith are for us Shia Sahih? Why not Muslim and Bukhari? Okay, so which of the hadith sources do the Shia go to, which is Sahih? And why do Shia Muslims not follow Bukhari and Muslim and so forth?
We don't have something called Sahih al-Kafi. Or Sahih al-Bihar, for example. Unlike Ahlul Sunnah, which they have Sahih Bukhari and Muslim. We don't stick to the issue that whatever is in our books is all perfect and correct. That's why we have Al-Murajal, Al-Muddiraya, Al-Hadith. They would scrutinize and research every hadith, especially if it's to do with the fiqh issues. They study the chain of the narrators, and yes, we have some hadith which are weak, some hadith in which the ulama won't use it. There's i'rad, as they say. They don't reject it, but they would stop implementing and using this hadith in their fiqh extraction of evidence and ahkam. So the only book which is correct is the Holy Quran, as I've said before many times. But for the hadith books now, we actually have a great means of carefulness when we deal with the hadith, one by one, the chain of the narrators. Unlike the other sects in which they have this issue of being sahih, those two books, that's of course cause a lot of troubles and problems, because many of those hadith is against the Quran, against the teachings of the Holy Prophet.
And they say sahih as well.
And they say sahih, so they have fallen into this trouble.
Yeah. Also, Sheikhna, is this with hadith and so forth. We Shia, we're very strict when it comes to hadith with fiqh, but even we take good hadith, hadith hasana, or even dhaif hadith when it comes to aqaid or history, as long as it's in accordance with the Quran and it's accordance with certain text, we still, you know, we take it and we accept it. We don't really reject like that when it comes to aqaid and so forth. Sheikh, now more questions coming in. Can I cheat in my exam?
That's not right, to be honest. If you cheat,
Quite dishonest, yeah.
One should avoid such acts. على كل حال, one should do his best or her best in terms of achieving the highest marks in the exams. And cheating wouldn't be a good way to get the result. So best thing to study well, do more work, inshallah, you know, stay overnight. We have a poetry in Arabic which says "Man talaba al-ula sahara al-layali." The one who seeks to gain higher positions and status, he would stay overnight, stay all night to study. And this is how our ulama from Kulaini, Majlisi and others, they used to stay overnight, hours and hours, just to you know, write a hadith or study a hadith or a fiqh issue and deliver it to the next generations. And even we have some ulama that because they were so poor and they had no means of money to buy a candle in those days, they used to go to the let's say the bathroom, which is a public bathroom, and had a candle. So he used to stay there in that you know, place where the candle was set, and study and revise the book in that place. So this is how we've got these great treasures, you know, Al-Kafi, Istibsar and Bihar and so on, because of their efforts.
Excellent. Sheikh, more questions coming in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. When reciting Quran, what surah should be recited in wajib sajda? Okay, so which surahs have the wajib sajda? Surah Sajda, Surah Najm, Surah Alaq. There's one more, Surah Fussilat. The four. Yes. There's four.
Yes.
I think there's 4 wajib and there's 4 mustahab as well for sujood. But these are the four thingy. Assalamu alaikum. What can we read in Qanut?
You can read the ad'iyah mentioned, let's say, in the Holy Quran. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. You can recite ad'iyat of Ahl al-Bayt, for example. Or if you have a hajj, you can recite your own dua. Allahumma اقضي حوائجي مثلا رزقني من حلال رزقك. That's up to you.
Assalamu alaikum, Shaykhna. Can we, it's from YouTube, can we recite surahs in Jama'ah namaz, or it must be dhikr only? And if better dhikr only, then what dhikr should we recite? Okay, so this is someone who is following Imam in Jama'ah. When they are reciting a surah, should they recite a surah, or they should do dhikr, or should they stay quiet? How does it work?
If the Imam is in the Salah of Dhuhr and Asr, where he's silently reciting Hamd and Surah, you can say La ilaha illallah, for example. Tasbih Subhanallah. And you say it slowly and silently until the Imam reaches the end of the Hamd and Surah, and then of course you join the Imam in terms of reciting the dhikr of ruku', sujood and so on. So yes, if one can recite, that would be good in terms of
from YouTube. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's it.
Assalamu alaikum. Is it right that Imam Hassan alayhi salam and Imam Hussein salam had joined the army of Umar going to fight Iran, that time's regime?
I haven't read or seen something like that.
I don't think that's ever happened at all. I don't see any of the Ahlul Bayt.
The only thing that happened that the Imam sent Salman al-Muhammadi al-Farisi to Mada'in to rule over the Mada'in in that time. That's it really. And that's by the order of the Imam alayhi salam.
Oh, well, maybe we should do some research on it. We'll have a quick look. Okay, Assalamu alaikum. I think this is from a female. I love someone and he loves me back, but he's married and has a daughter. Both the husband and the wife are my relatives, so second marriage with him is impossible. Can we secretly marry, or is my father's permission obligatory? Would the nikah not be valid without his permission? Okay, first of all, Shaykhna, if they're family members, a lady cannot become the second wife of her sister's husband, correct? As in, I can't, if I'm married to a lady,
Yes.
I cannot marry her sister as a second
Definitely.
wife.
Definitely.
Uh,
As a second wife.
Definitely yes, definitely no.
Of course, they can't.
They can't.
You
definitely
can't
not.
have two sisters at the same
Okay.
marriage.
Right.
وأن
Now-
تجمع بين أختين.
Now this lady is saying, I want to marry a man. He's already married to one of my family members. But we like each other, we want to marry each other. I don't mind that they're married, they've got a kid or whatever, it doesn't matter. I want to marry this man. Do I need my father's permission?
If she's virgin, yes, definitely.
Okay.
كنت أتوا سيستاني, even if she's dependent on herself, she's got her own job, own flat. As a precaution, she must ask for the permission of her father.
Okay, fair enough. Next question from YouTube, mashallah, they're still coming. Is praying qadha prayers, do we read in loud voice for Fajr, Maghrib and Isha? We would if not qadha. So when we recite qadha prayers, the Fajr, the Maghrib, Isha, do we recite them aloud as well in
Yes,
qadha?
yes, yes. As they were.
Fantastic. Next question from YouTube. I'm worried about the situation in Iran and the war between Ukraine and Russia. Do we live in the end of times? Sometimes it feels like that for me. Are there any signs for the coming of the Mahdi? Allah hasten his reappearance.
Of course, we cannot time the reappearance of the Imam Salamullah alayhi at all. We can't give any time. Whatever sign we see. I mean, we had worse than the situation in the World War II, for example. Millions were killed and died as a result of these huge and massive battles between countries and allied forces. So no, we can't. I mean, we had Gulf War, we had Iraq invasion, Afghanistan invasion,
Yeah.
nothing happened. So you can't really time it.
More wars are to come,
But
Sheikh.
inshallah, we have to pray to Allah Azza wa Jal.
Inshallah.
And one of the best deeds in this time and age, intidarul faraj, is to await this faraj and this appearance of the Imam Salamullah alayhi as much as we can with our deeds, with our good deeds, with our being pious. In other words, to do the wajib acts and to refrain from the vice and
Yes.
evil acts, and to help others, give charity, attend the majalis of Ahlul Bayt, make our houses and homes as part of the majalis of Ahlul Bayt, dhikr Ahlul Bayt, nurture and educate our kids so that they can be, inshallah, one day Ansar Imam Salamullah
Inshallah.
alayhi.
Inshallah. Sheikh, now more questions coming in. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Assalamu wa rahmatullah.
Quick question. If a woman has been separated from her husband for over 4 years, and in the 4 years there's been no physical contact, now the husband wants to give the official divorce, will the woman have to observe the iddah period or no? So for 4 years she's been living separate, there's been no physical contact, they're going through with the divorce, does she need to observe the iddah period?
Of course, when the husband goes to the, let's say, Maulana, or to the person who is in charge of divorcing the couples, when he announces and divorces this individual, and of course from that day and that time, the iddah starts.
Okay.
Be it a raj'i iddah, a returning iddah, or a ba'in, or a, ba'in iddah, which is separative iddah, in which there's non-returning iddah, in other words. So yes, it starts from that second or minute in which he announces the divorce when he goes to the Maulana.
Fair enough. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. Can Shia Muslim befriend Christian or not? A good friend of mine is Christian. She respects my Islamic religion and has a good, friendly and truthful personality. We've known each other since childhood.
There's no issue with it as long as the sister or even the brother who's got maybe a friend as well to be able to observe, if it's a sister, her hijab, and not to commit any sins as a result. You know, sometimes they invite you to their party. There's alcohol, there's dance, music, and so forth. So it has to be a restricted relationship, in other words, not to go further than too much. Otherwise, one might be influenced with their ideologies or akhlaq or whatever they have in terms of their aqidah. So we have to put some kind of a red line, in other words, when it comes to friendship with the non-Muslims.
Ahsant. Sheikhna, is it permissible to use an app on the phone which shows number of sajdas and ruku? Oh, I see. Okay. So, Sheikhna, you're probably familiar with there's equipment you can buy when you go to sujood. It changes, it tells you which rak'ah, which sujood, and so forth. There's an app which maybe monitors when my head goes into ruku or sujood or whatever. Is that permissible to use?
Yes, if you trust this program and it's reliable, then why not? You can use it. Yeah.
Okay, more and more questions coming, mashallah. From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum. Kindly suggest and explain the book about Tawheed for reading, and I want to learn the seerah of the Ma'soomeen alayhi salam, because I want to live a life of our Ma'soomeen told us to give me nasiha. Jazakallah khair. So a good book to probably explain Tawheed and also the seerah of the Ma'soomeen.
Two different books I think you need for this purpose. For the Sirat al-Ma'soomeen, something simple and not really deep, is the book Muntaha al-Amal by Allama Sheikh Abbas Qummi, rahmatullah.
Okay.
Muntaha al-Amal. The akhbar or the history of the Rasulullah and his pure family, salamullah alayhim ajma'een. So yeah, that's a good book to start with. And then for the Tawheed, as I've said before, you can start with the Hadith about the Tawheed in the second volume of, maybe first or second volume of Al-Kafi. It depends on the volumes, because we have lots of prints with this regard and Sharh. So yeah, Kitab al-Tawheed, I think that's the best source. Kitab al-Tawheed in the book of Al-Kafi, Al-Sharif. You have Tawheed al-Sabdugh as well.
Ahsant. Got some nice short ones here for you, Sheikhna. Assalamu alaikum from YouTube. Do I need to read tasbih when praying qadha namaz? Tasbih is mustahab. It doesn't need to be read.
It's good to do so. Why not? Yeah.
You know, for qadha, I guess so, if it's mustahab. From YouTube, do we have to dry the feet during the wudu or wipe the feet, even if the feet have water on them? Okay, so before doing wudu, should you dry your feet before doing masa? What if there's a couple of droplets from your face or arm or something that drops on?
What the ulama mentioned, that you have to make sure that the moist or the wetness in your hand is more than the ones which is on your feet. So if it's more than that, it should be fine, even if one, two drops wouldn't harm. But it's better to wipe anyhow.
Is lobster halal or haram?
As we mentioned before, it's of course forbidden in the fiqh of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. One should avoid, except the ones, the fish which has scales, and the prawns, as mentioned before, is the exception.
That's a good question, Sheikh. Is my salah accepted if I pray behind the Sunni Imam?
I said it before that even if he's a Shia Imam, you have to, the ulama say, you have to gain and establish the adala, ihrazul adala. That's for the Shia Imam, not the Sunni Imam. The Sunni Imam, of course, you can't pray behind him.
Yes.
Salah is batil. But even the Shia Imam, you have to make sure that the one you pray behind is an adil individual, and you can just you can get this information from the people who pray behind him.
Some people don't understand Arabic fully. What does adil mean?
Just.
So he's just.
Yes.
How? For example, Sheikh, what would you say would not qualify someone to lead the prayer? So, for example, this person may, he's known to drink alcohol, even though he's a Muslim, or maybe he doesn't observe some of the Sharia. Is that the only things, or when you mean he's just, what does that mean?
Basically, these sins in which, the major sins in which he would commit, to drink alcohol, na'udhu billah, and other muharramat in which if he commits, then you can't pray behind him.
This is in public, by the way. Whatever he does behind closed doors is behind closed doors. That's nothing to do with us. Question from YouTube. Assalamu alaikum. Sometimes for self-improvement, motivational music helps to get things done and improve oneself. Are we able to listen to this sort of music, especially if the lyrics are not bad and immoral? Sheikh, music used to help you, it's actually, you can find it on YouTube as well. Music to help you work. Music to help you focus on reading and revision, or if you're doing house cleaning or you're doing this or that. A lot of people use music in the gym to help them out when they're exercising and so forth, to help motivate, keep your morale up. Is this sort of music allowed?
Some of the ulama, like Ayatollah Shirazi, would mention that all types of music are haram and forbidden. from the classical to the jazz and the rock music and so forth, all haram. But now we have some of the ulama, like Ayatollah Sistani and others, who would say that if the music is an entertaining music which suits the majalis or the gatherings of the people of corrupt individuals like discos and nightclubs, of course that type of music like rock, jazz, DJ, that's haram definitely. There's a ijma' with this regard, you know, consensus of the ulama, that this type of music for entertaining and amusements, that's of course haram. But they would say that if it's not, it's like a classical music, it's not that type of music, then this type of music is allowed. So it depends really what type of music is this.
From YouTube, Sheikh, how long after the tragedy of Karbala did Sayyid Zainab Sallallahu Alaiha live? As in, how long did she live for after the tragedy of Karbala?
I think it's mentioned 1 year.
Wow.
Yeah, 1 year.
Yeah, I know it was quite short.
Yeah. Now we have the issue of did
Where
she
buried?
died in Sham or Egypt, Cairo?
Yeah, there's two.
So that's the issue in which
There's
we have.
two, yeah. From YouTube as well. This is not okay. Hold on. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
No, we've had that one, and it is: do I need to say the first takbir in salah aloud, or can I whisper it? I think it needs to be significant, as in different to the other takbir you do. But takbir to the haram, the beginning one, does that need to be really loud, or just, you know, different to the
Allahu
other?
Akbar, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be fine.
Fair enough. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. I need help on Nafila Salah, on how to read it, when to read it. Example, Zuhr Adhan is at 11:45. Am I to pray Dhuhr at 1 p.m. and can I still read the Nafila Salah or no? Okay, Sheikhna, correct me if I'm wrong. We have 2 rak'ah before Fajr prayer. So
Yes.
you'd pray this when the Fajr Adhan, when the Fajr time comes, you pray 2 rak'ah Nafila, then you pray 2 rak'ah Wajib.
Exactly.
Then at Dhuhr time, I think it's in between Dhuhr and Asr, you will pray 8.
8 rak'ah, exactly.
In pairs of 2. So there'll be 2, 2 for Dhuhr, and then 2, 2 for... So 4 rakat after Asr, which is connected with Asr, sorry. 4 rakat after Dhuhr, which is connected with Dhuhr, and then 4 rakat before Asr, which is connected with Asr.
Yes.
But there's 4 in between. Then there's 2 rakat before Maghrib, then you pray the Maghrib Salah, and then there's Isha, and 1 rakat standing or 2 rakat sitting down.
There's a Nafilat al-Maghrib 2 rak'ah.
After?
Yes, when you finish the Maghrib,
Okay.
which starts with the Nun الذهب مغاضبا.
Yeah.
So that you recite those ayat. And then you have the Nafilat al-Isha,
Which is
which
1
is,
standing or 2 sitting down on the
one
floor.
sitting down, 2 rak'ah.
Yeah. And then there's the night prayer, Tahajjud, which comes in
11 rak'ah.
11 rak'ah,
Exactly.
which is prayed in 2, 2, 2. So you have 8 rak'ah, you pray normal as Fajr. The 10th and 11th, sorry, 10th and 12th rak'ah, no. It is the 9th and 10th rak'ah will be prayed Shafa, I think, without the qanut on purpose.
Yes.
And then the 11th rak'ah is prayed with the qanut, and then you do the 40 names of the Ma'sumin. In total should be 51 rak'ah, inshallah.
Exactly.
Okay, from YouTube again. In my job, I'm usually at the deathbed of a non-Muslim, and this causes me deep grief. Is there a dua ayah that would be permissible to read in the time, even if it's not done out aloud? I think, Sheikhna, and I mean this is very common amongst people. Myself, you know, I studied the biomedical science at university, and I had a lot of friends who were doing radiology, and they were speaking with basically cancer patients. And they used to speak to them, they're helping them with their therapy, they'll get attached to these people, and these people would die. And it was really, really difficult for my colleagues and so forth who were studying radiology. They found it very, very difficult to continue. They found it very, very depressing. Everyone I meet just keeps dying, everyone just keeps dying, and so forth. Sheikh, is there dua, anything that you could advise? Personally, I think maybe you should change your job and go to the birth clinic and become a midwife and celebrate the birth of babies rather than people dying or so forth. But there needs to be a balance, no?
I think in one side they need some kind of mental advisor, like psychiatric or somebody from the medical field to advise them what to do, for example. So that's a medical field in which they have to maybe go to the doctor and see somebody who can advise them how to deal with these issues. But the other side of the moral, or let's say spiritual field, then one of course can refer to the ad'iyah, in which death is mentioned. For example, the holy verses that if the musibah, the calamity comes on someone, he would say inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Ala bi dhikrillah tatma'innu al-qulub. Dhikrullah azza wa jal, to remember Allah azza wa jal, to mention his holy name, that would bring peace and harmony to the one's heart and soul. So dhikrullah ala kulli hal is good, and one should concentrate on his job rather than just look at the negative aspects of his career.
Very good question here. For my Sunni viewers, please pay attention. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
My husband said in anger, Anti talaq. You are divorced. But later he regretted it. Is this permissible or not? Is the divorce valid?
If this is in the fiqh of Ahlul Sunnah, okay, they have their own fiqh that they have to refer back to. In anyhow, they have to see if this can be, I mean, they have 4 madhahib, 4 a'imma that they follow: Hanafi, Shafi'i, Hanbali, Maliki. So we have to see what they say with regards to saying this taliq while they are in anger. But in anyhow, this talaq is not the correct way of performing the talaq, because in talaq you have to have 2 witnesses.
Exactly.
And she must be in her purity, in which there was no intercourse. He would divorce her in that month in which they had no intercourse.
Wow.
Conditions apply also, not to be in her monthly cycle and so forth. So with the Shia talaq is hugely different.
It's actually very difficult to get divorced.
But the good thing is, the good thing is that if this lady became a divorcee, as a result of the husband saying anti taliq, without any witnesses in their madhab, in their non-Shia aqidah, and then she becomes she divorces from this man, Sunni man, the Shia can marry them according to the hadith of Ahlul Bayt, that قاعدة الإلزام. Ilzam means we respect their rulings. And not only the Sunni, even the Christians.
Yes.
If the Christian goes to the church and divorces his wife, we are allowed to marry that wife as a result. Because we have this قاعدة الإلزام that ulama Shia would discuss, and from the Imam of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, that if somebody divorces, or in overall, if one of the ahkam takes place in their aqidah, we can basically follow their ahkam in this matter, in which that we can marry their wives if they officially and correctly marry in their creed and aqidah. So we can actually apply it. In other words, you can't say that, well, no, she's still the husband or the wife of this husband. No, he actually said taliq, that's it. Then we can apply قاعدة الإلزام. ألزموهم بما ألزموا به أنفسهم.
Very, very good question here, Sheikhna. In your personal opinion, now this is from WhatsApp, in your personal opinion, what do you believe about the Imams being referred to as Rab? Now I understand most layman Shias won't know what I may be talking about, but I am sure you would know my question. The reason why I want to know is because of the various ahadith saying that Imams are the creators of things. For example, Imam Bakr alayhi salam creating an elephant from clay, and not to mention the word Rab itself can refer to as a guardian. For example, Rab al-Bayt refers to the husband of the house or the man of the house. Jazakallah Sheikh, thank you for your time and effort.
We have to see if the narrations mention the word Rab towards them, which means leaders or
sometimes it means sustainer or nourisher or someone who provides for you.
Like Rabbul Bayt. So we have to be very, very careful with these terms and words. In overall, they would always advise in the Hadith and others that do not bring us to the level of rububiyyah, lordship. That is, of course, shirk billah azza wa jal. We don't accept somebody to say that Ali alayhi salam is na'udhu billah, like the Christians said towards Jesus, Isa alayhi salam, son of God or part of God and so forth. So no, they are abidullah azza wa jal. Wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. We say this testimony and testify every day in the salah that the Holy Prophet ﷺ is initially and firstly the slave of Allah and the servant of Allah azza wa jal, and then his messenger. So we have to be very careful.
Do we have any Sahih Hadith books like the Sunnis? Sheikh, you've already mentioned this.
Yes.
But quickly for this viewer, maybe they weren't watching. Do we have any Sahih Hadith books like the Sunnis?
We don't have such a book which is cover to cover as all the Hadith are Sahih. Unless that Alim or that individual says that, between myself and Allah Azza wa Jal, I believe these Hadith are Sahih. That's hujjah for him. But other ulama would have issues and comments with this regard for some of the Hadith.
Assalamu alaikum from YouTube. Do you have any advice on maintaining concentration, khushu, during Salah? This question comes up quite frequently, as in at least once a month we get this question, Sheikhna. I guess a lot of people are finding it difficult, either because Salah has become very, as in they become desensitized to Salah. It's become so much of a habit, they can do it with their eyes closed, or they can do it so it's become habitual and a ritual. And then the other side, you have those who haven't understood Salah properly, therefore they can't get their mind on it, that you're here, you're worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're worshipping a deity that deserves to be worshipped, a creator that can ideally change your destiny in this dunya and akhirah. Sheikh, any advice on individuals to concentrate in Salah?
One should, from the beginning of the Salah, concentrate on the words of the verses, as I've mentioned before, that try to ponder and reflect on Surah Al-Hamd, for example, or the Surah Al-Tawheed, or any other surah that you recite. And recite these slowly, don't rush them. It's just 5 times in 3 sessions a day. It's not going to take you more than 20 minutes if you want to prolong your salah a bit. So slowly recite Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. What is Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim means? Rahman, Rahim. Of course, you have to have some background in terms of the meanings, translation, maybe a simple tafsir, try to find. And then when you pray, try to remember the meanings. And the likewise of ruku' sujood again, look at the place of the sujood when you are, for example, standing and reciting the Hamd and Surah. Look between your both feet when you're actually in your ruku', and so forth.
Sheikh, I believe we have a telephone call. Inshallah, we'll be able to get through to the viewers. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
You are live on Ahkam SOS. Brother, please, your question for the Sheikh.
Salam, Sheikh.
Salam.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I've been close to university and we have a shared prayer room. And every time I pray with my hand by my side, the other Sunni counterparts, they confirm or take my turba away, or other club in the prayer room, they throw them out and crush them. What am I supposed to do in this case? What do I respond to them? What do I tell them to do? I'm very confused.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. I think I got the question. I'm going to forward it to the Sheikh now. Inshallah, he'll be able to answer. Thank you very much, brother. Sheikhna, the brother saying that he prays Salah the Shia way, the way of Rasulullah, with his hands by his side. And sometimes, other madhabs make fun of him, saying that, why are you praying like this and so forth. What response can you give to him? What can you say to them?
The Holy Quran states, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَإِذَا خَطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. Just ignore them. Just say salama, salama. Ignore them. Or if there is a chance of guidance, then talk to them, bring them the evidence that the salah that we pray is actually how Ahlul Bayt prayed, Salamullah alayhim, is how Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam prayed. and show them with evidence from their books, for example. For example, we have the Malikiya, I think they pray without folding their hands on their chest, for example. So one can bring the evidence and billatiha ahsan, use the best meanings, the best words, with akhlaq, try to attract them towards the right path. But if they insist, they were stubborn, as I've said, qalu salama, ignore them.
Sheikh, we haven't got much time left. We're coming to the end of the show, but if you can quickly go through some of these questions that people are sending in. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
From what age people can get married in Islam?
You see, the earliest, the best, and of course the better. But now we have rules, countries now, especially in the West, they would put laws and legislation.
Yeah.
You can't marry somebody under the age. You're going to get in trouble, for example. But of course, Islam overall would encourage early marriage. But with the situation, one should be very careful. Otherwise, you're going to get in trouble with the law enforcement, with the courts. But in anyhow, the earliest, the better.
Fair enough. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykhna. Where was Imam Mahdi born? Allah hasten his prayers. When did he disappear? And when and where will he reappear? Will Jesus be alongside him? So let's go through the first one. Where was the Imam Mahdi born? Imam Mahdi alayhi salam was born in Samarra, correct?
Exactly, yes.
Okay, where did he disappear? He technically didn't disappear, but he went to occultation. A lot of people have this, they don't understand it properly. They think he's disappeared. It's not that he's disappeared. You can see him, but you don't recognize that he's the Imam.
Yes,
You don't,
exactly.
you can't, it's in a way, it's taken away from your brain that he's the Imam. So, he could be sitting next to you on the bus. You don't know. And he's not allowed to tell you that he's the Imam, only to certain individuals. So inshallah, he'll reappear when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives him the hukm. And when will he reappear? When Allah gives him the hukm. Will Jesus be alongside him? We have narration, Shaykh, no, that Hazrat Isa alayhi salam will pray behind him, no? And just come.
He will descend from the heaven and praise behind behind Al-Mahdi alayhi salam. And of course, the Christians will, as a result, convert to Islam and follow Isa alayhi salam, and follow, of course, the Imam as a result.
Is ginger beer halal? As far as I'm aware, ginger beer is halal. Ginger beer doesn't mean that it's beer. It's a drink made from ginger. It's got no alcohol in it whatsoever. It's not even made from alcohol. It's just ginger with some other liquids and stuff. It's actually quite disgusting. I don't know why this guy wants to drink it. From YouTube, Shaykhna, even we recite slowly surahs in namaz, all kinds of thoughts come in my mind and wonder if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would accept my prayer. I guess, Shaykhna, you got to do the best you can. No one's perfect, and Salah, I think, takes a long time to master. It's very easy to learn the ritual, but the philosophy behind Salah, why we pray, who are we worshipping, how did the Imam pray? They used to say, Shaykhna, you know this better than I do. Imam Ali alayhi salam, when it came to Salah time, he'd shake. When he would do wudu, he'd be scared. Sometimes he'd faint. Exactly. And they'd be like, why or how? He goes, do you know who I'm worshipping? Do you know who this person is? And so forth. Shaykhna, could you please elaborate a little bit on focusing on Salah and your mind going drifting away?
They would say, I think it's a statement, I'm not sure if it's by ulama or others, that if you want to talk to Allah Azza wa Jal, go and pray. If you want Allah to talk to you, read the Holy Quran.
Yes.
So we are actually every day, 5 times a day, we talk to Allah Azza wa Jal. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. So I think with practice, it takes time a bit to concentrate. I mean, we're not perfect.
I'll tell you what, Shaykhna, one thing from my own experience, and I'll advise all the viewers as well. If you want to improve your Salah, study aqaid, study tawheed, study who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. Increase your relationship, strengthen your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I guarantee your Salah will become better than ever. That's from my own experience, and inshallah you're able to get through. Shaykhna, final question, it's not even a question actually, from YouTube, someone has said, it's just a comment, I really want to thank you, you're always answering my questions, and also the other questions from others are helping me out. May Allah bless you for this opportunity. Shaykhna, is there anything you'd like to say to the viewers who actually really appreciate your help and your research, and been how many episodes we've done together, Sheikh?
Alhamdulillah.
It's been, it's more than 300 episodes apparently, and we've been doing Ahkam since 2017, I think.
18 years.
So, in Farsi and Arabic it's been going on for longer, but in English we've been here a very, very long time. More than 8 years apparently. The Ahkam shows on Imam Hussein TV in different languages have been going on for. Sheikh, is there anything you'd like to say to the viewers?
Initially, I would like to thank those brothers and sisters who would follow and ask. Jazakumullah khaira. Great, appreciate it. And of course, it's my duty as wajib aini, as some ulama would mention, that this is wajib aini. If you can, as an individual, to carry this message and deliver it, it's wajib on you to do so. If you can recite a lecture, you can recite Noha, for example, for Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. You can establish a majlis, it becomes wajib on you to do so. If you can, you have the capabilities and ability and the strength to do so. So I think it's a wajib on me to deliver, this message of Islam in terms of ahkam, aqaid, other parts, hadith and so forth, and deliver it, inshallah. And this is a great blessing from Allah Azza wa Jal. Like other fields, the doctors, nurses, especially in the COVID time, we lost many of those individuals.
Yeah.
So I think each individual in his field can actually serve Allah's religion and to serve the community and the people as well.
Ahsant. To the viewers, I'd like to say, on behalf of Imam Hussein TV and Ahkam SOS, it's been 5 years that me and Sheikh have been doing these episodes, and alhamdulillah, we've improved from the original purple set that we had to my different hairstyles to developing the ahkam, from introducing Shia Plus videos and so forth. If you guys have any comments on how we can improve Ahkam SOS, please send them in. Send them into the WhatsApp. Tell us if there's any topics in particular you would like us to discuss. Please send in those topics, send in those questions. We are more than happy to help you guys and get you guys more familiar with Islamic fiqh. If there's a question you have in regards to any of our maraja, which are over my shoulder over here, then tell us which marja. We have contacts with the official representatives and the official offices. We can get you your answer. Even Sheikh now was so kind enough to do a bit of research and find someone who can interpret dreams, and managed to get a couple of answers for some questions that were sent in, and we privately sent those answers to those people. So if you have anything you'd like us to do for yourselves, please let us know. You can contact us on the WhatsApp number, and inshallah from there we can go forward. If you have any questions, please send them in, and inshallah we'll be able to discuss on Monday's episode. If I didn't answer your question today, I do apologize. We had so many questions coming in and we've run out of time. But inshallah, next episode, Monday, 7 o'clock here on Imam Hussein TV3, we'll be able to answer them. This has been Ahkam SOS. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
With more and more victims of war and poverty, the Middle East has seen a surge in patients seeking medical aid. Iraq alone has 2.4 million people without access to any form of medical assistance. In Afghanistan, due to the lack of funding and devastating conflict, the health service is at breaking point. Imam Hussein Charity aims to help provide a better future for these impoverished patients, aiding them with finances for their prescriptions as well as dialysis of their kidneys. You can help our brothers and sisters with purchases of prescriptions for just £20, and for £200 help a patient with a dialysis procedure. To donate or for more information, visit www.imamhusseincharity.com.
As lovers of the Ahlul Bayt, we all have an inclination to the epitome of love. When we rejoice, when times are hard, whatever stage of life we are in, we all yearn to be in one special place. We all wish to visit the blessed shrine of Imam Hussein in the holy city of Karbala.